in a almost a medium ass. It's not even a great ass. It's a medium ass. It's not even that big.
It is a medium ass.
Hey, come on. Science. Deny this cake right here. We gotta talk about woke video games, Stellarblade, and the destruction of the booba as it continues. It's an important story. Someone needs to cover it, and someone who actually is a real gamer needs to be able to analyze this.
The mainstream games journalists always need a boogeyman. They always need a fake victim. They always need a narrative, because there's no way.
That is such a wild way to start this, because that's how I feel about people who criticize video games from this weird perspective. The whole right-wing pop culture shit, all of it, they always need a bad guy. They always need a fake villain. In this case, someone's trying to take away your boobas, you know? They're coming for them.
They can just say that gamers are satisfied and gamers are happy. They always need to create something. And Stellarblade is that something. Stellarblade is going to be a monumental success, and the games journalists are going to do everything they can to create a fake narrative surrounding this game, because this game is everything that games journalists claim that they want. And yet, now that it's here, and now that the heavy majority of gamers are out there and looking forward to it, they are now creating another.
Okay, so if a woman says to you, hey, by the way, it would be nice to have better representation in this particular form of art. I would like to see better representation. And then you're like, oh, well, I've got the new Dead on Arrival. We got Stripper Deluxe 25 coming out. Did you not love this shit? Come on. There's women as the playable character in this game. Don't you love it? Also, this is about Stellarblade, and a lot of people are fake upset about Stellarblade. I have yet to see this massive backlash that I keep hearing about, where it's apparently all of video games journalism is like, well, this game is destroying the idea of what women are. This is sexist. This is like, there was one article in IGN France that said the people who made this game look like they've never touched or seen a real woman before, and then all of these, you know, chuds were so excited to be like, what? No, it's modeled after a real life woman, a real femoid. We got you.
Fake narrative, because it's always about that victim mentality. They can never actually be satisfied. They can never actually report.
That's what your whole channel is. This whole channel is a victim mentality, geeks and gamers. Let's take a quick look, okay? Let's look at your videos. What you got on the dock?
Every time I've been in and out with Jeremy, he doesn't even eat the fries. Like,
That's bullshit.
Stellarblade will break woke video game journalists. Sweet Baby Inc. kills entire game studio. Google abandons wokeness. Kotaku Hypocrisy exposed after attacking Stellarblade. Pokemon Go gets wrecked after genderless update. Ubisoft in big trouble. Mace Windu hated for being black. Dumbest take ever. Leave the kids alone. Dr. Disrespect slams Call of Duty. Star Wars Outlaws. Everyone hates it. Hot Korean chick slams woke game journals over Stellarblade controversy. Worse than Sweet Baby Inc. Woke DEI replacement could ruin games for... Just all nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Again, none of it actually affecting your lives in any way, shape, or form. You know, I know it feels really serious, and it feels like you're fighting a war, but it's a war of your own design. .io right now, they're currently doing a fundraiser for Palestinian Children Relief Fund. They have already raised $250,000. So if you're looking to buy some video games, you like playing video games, how about this deal? Over 300, that's right, 300 video games for the low cost of $8, and all the money goes towards charity at a time when I think it's raising money for a very, very important and good cause. Please go check it out. It's called Games Bundle for Palestine. It's currently live. Here's the link.
Gamers can't stand to have female representation. We all know that's nonsense. We all know that's ridiculous. But now we have it here with Stellarblade, and of course, they're making up ridiculous claim after ridiculous claim.
No, like, no one's on the other side of this, genuinely. I read a lot of video game journalism. Every single day I log on to Kotaku. The front page is not like, yet another video game sexualizing women. They've never seen a real femoid before.
Stellarblade is the game of the year because there's a shiny titty and a almost a medium ass. It's not even a great ass. It's a medium ass. It's not even that big.
It is a medium ass.
Hey, come on. Science. Deny this cake right here. Come on, what you gonna do? Yeah, you fucking games journalists, you think you're gonna downplay how amazing this ass is. This is the ass that saved the world, okay? Ideally, if you play the game right.
Started to expose many people in the games journalism industry, even though we've known that it's been a problem for a long time.
Yeah, but did you read the article? It pointed out that Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't get, like, final say or editorial decisions for any of the companies that they consult for. They're a consulting firm. It's what consulting firms do. It is a firm that is hired. It's a team of like 15 people in a small company in Montreal that is now at the centerpiece of like GOONERGATE. And every single person keeps saying like, oh, well, what they do is they destroy video games for making them woke. They're the reason why that there's like, you know, a female protagonist in Alan Wake 2. And they're the reason why apparently, you know, you'll see diversity and queer shit in video games. It's them single-handedly. They're approached by these massive companies, and these massive companies approach them to consult on their projects. They give them suggestions based on, yes, if you want to be more culturally sensitive, here's the things you could do with this project, and then they get to decide whether or not they listen to them. That's it. That's why it's like, why is this turning into such a monstrously huge conspiracy theory?
But specifically, there was a person named Alyssa Mercante, an editor for Kotaku, who started to get prominence by attacking gamers, attacking the readers, attacking the video games and the video game characters over and over again. Now, while they wrote this article saying Sweet Baby Inc.
By the way, the whole idea that like we want to prove all of them wrong, we're going to prove them all wrong, and that they're just like trying to farm outrage and they hate white people and this is what it's all about, you're kind of proving them all right by consistently just losing your shit over like mild criticism. If someone's like, hey, by the way, there's this consulting firm, it's called Sweet Baby Inc. They're consulted and they're chosen to be able to tell a company and advise them, and they're paid to do this, about whether or not their projects are culturally sensitive or they should make adjustments and that kind of stuff. And to think that that's at the origin of the fact that all video games have this insidious wokeness about them where they're trying to destroy every aspect of it. I thought it was funnier to talk about how there's hypocrisy in this all, though, with Hades.
Especially when it comes to journalism, they really love to, even when you think it's kind of all over, they've done the damage, people have called them out for it, they always come back for a second round.
Exactly, and it really goes to show that they're activists. They're not after truth, and they will use any, like, logical justification, even if it actively contradicts other justifications that they use in reverse, right? They will happily jump on that in the now if it serves their ends. Because at the end of the day, it's not about principles. It's not about right or wrong for them. It's about power and winning. They just want to win by any means necessary because to them, the ends justify the means. And so there has been a constant attack, we've covered this on Night's Watch, about the male gaze, you know, meaning that they find it objectifies women when men are attracted to pretty women, or women are presented in an
That's not what it is.
overly attractive.
My dudes, okay, I love beautiful women. I think women are awesome and sexy and gorgeous. The very idea of then reducing women to nothing but their bodies, that's where the problem comes in. And that any portrayal of women in any form of media just being sexy and nothing else. Like, there's always like, well, sexy first, right? I mean, she's got to be fucking bomb as fuck. And then after that, you can add, you know, character traits, I guess, some kind of a background story or whatever. But the first thing first is it's got to have all of the amazing features that gamers really want, which is, of course, massive titties, big ass, all that kind of shit. That's the first step.
Recently, we've had stuff like with Pokemon Go, the update where they just completely removed female figure for the game entirely.
We will be covering that in its own video, trust me.
No, trust, we're all over this. Like, it is fucked.
Like, they just keep coming back to it where it isn't even now about appreciating women, it's now just about removing them entirely from any form of digital media.
Which seems horribly sexist.
Yeah.
Okay? Where they're actively trying to make women not look like women. Pokemon Go is just the most recent in a long-running, you know, track record of evidence of activists, the woke mob, trying to make women look more like men.
And I think it shows a lack of understanding from them because they think basically only straight white men play video games. And so we remove all these things that they like from the games, but it's actually taking away choices from other players like women who would probably want those features and, you know, request them now because they've been taken away from them. But now they've flip-flopped on it now in this article.
Exactly, because all their standard about, you know, over-sexualization bad, male gaze bad, objectification of women bad, is suddenly thrown aside and pushed under the rug, if it's done by an ally. If it's someone that pushes the same message, right, then they're fully on board with it. In actual fact, it's the right type of sexualization, as this article in Kotaku says. It's the kind of hot they need right now. And I find this is very telling because it also falls directly in line with the type of sexualization they love to promote, which is basically anything outside of the normal sexual relation, traditional type of, you know, relation between men and women. They sung the praises of Baldur's Gate 3 because you could do some really weird things in it. You could have sex with a bear in it. And they thought, that is great.
So whoever thinks that is just insane.
Again, when did this happen? When were all of these feminists, all of these women, all of these video game journalists who destroyed society, when were they all like, you know, the great thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is that you can fuck bears. That's progress. And that's what feminism has ultimately been about this whole time.
I mean, you know, sexualization of women, bad. But if it's a man dressed up as a woman in a really...
By the way, no one is saying that, like, people being sexy in and of itself is bad. It's that just that being the only single way women are represented in a medium. There can be other kinds of women. And also, we could sexualize men a little bit. Like, do you know how ridiculous? There's even entire r/threads on this where artists have gone through the trouble. What if we gave men the same armor that we give women in video games? What would that look like, right? And some of the results are absolutely fucking hilarious, where you just see these, like, you know, massive fucking chads with like huge dongs wearing nothing but like a Speedo and then going to battle, because it's like, yeah, that would be kind of weird, right? If we just hypersexualize men, if there was just such this, like, we'll say the female gaze constantly staring at men and the only way they can be represented is wearing basically nothing at all. Like, if you were a dude and you wanted to play video games, wouldn't that be just kind of boring eventually? Wouldn't you be like, it's like, I don't mind, you know, the chads with the massive dongs in every game being basically nude. I just came to accept that at this point. But could we have a different kind of man? Could we have perhaps a man, I don't know, dressed as like a detective or a space marine or something like that, and then play as him instead of always just this one kind of version, right? I'm not saying take away the other ones. We can still have that, massive dongs and all, but it's just, it's the same thing that you see every time is kind of the problem.
Sexually provocative way, they will sing the praises for it. Sexualization is bad. But if it's an OnlyFans model, okay, right? Oh, that's so good, right?
What are OnlyFans models trying to do when they get you to buy their content if it happens to be sexual content? What is the content you are buying? Why are you buying that model's content and then viewing it? Could it be because you want to see sexual material? So at that point, you are looking for sexual material. So the default setting for all things, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, probably shouldn't be OnlyFans. And then there could be an argument made that in video games and the way women are represented, oftentimes it's sexual first. It's usually a sexual representation of women first. And again, it was the mildest of criticisms back in the original GOONERGATE, you know, that brought some of the stuff to the forefront, being like, hey, by the way, I'm not here to take away your video games, boys, but it would be nice if there was other kinds of ways of seeing women portrayed in what, yes, is definitely acceptably an art form.
Live in a mad world. It's
upside down world where they are blatant hypocrites. These so-called feminists, right,
Bring out the
are
proof.
Just black and white, undeniable hypocrites. Okay, and so this article comes from the "You Can't Be Racist to White People, Men Are the Enemies." She literally has a tattoo of "Men Are the Enemies," so she is a blatant sexist and racist, right? Alyssa McCunty, coming to us from it. And by the way, like, she is only after trying.
Okay, just skip over to the example, because we're all going to be talking about a game I quite enjoy, by the way. If you haven't played Hades, awesome game.
This game, because I
Very
like
hard.
this when I have friends that work here, so...
That's the key, right? So, Hades 2 is a game that is going to be coming out. And I've heard a good report of Hades 1.
Yes.
Now knowing
It's
that it has had consulting companies help it out, I will never give a second look to Hades 1 or 2. Because zero tolerance on this crap now.
Kind of feels as if you're not willing to actually let the content speak for itself, and you're just going to make some kind of, I don't know, prejudiced review without having played it. Isn't that what you're complaining about? How people are just judging Stellarblade without having played the game?
They have the...
I mean, for research purposes and for all of you, I'll play through Stellarblade. It's an entirety, and we'll find out if the game is in fact good, if it's woke, if it's a Trojan horse of wokeness, if the boobies and the ass have in fact been utilized to their full woke potential.
DEI, or is it DIE, whatever it is, or the reframing of it called Bridge. So they just pivot and rename stuff, and they want to push the agenda that they're pushing continually, but trying to hide it from people. And so that's what I said, that they'll be doing when they were getting called out with Gamergate 2, Sweet Baby Inc., is that they will just keep rename what they're doing and keep trying to consult behind the scenes. But you can't hide certain things.
Holy fuck, it takes them so long to get here. I'm just going to jump right to it, everybody. Hades features a character known as Aphrodite. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, you might know a little bit about where this is going. Here's the character in the video game. This is Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Yes. Oh no, I have to show you some full-blown nudity, everyone. So brace yourselves. We're about to show full-blown nudity. Ba-bam. Aphrodite is an ancient Greek goddess associated with love, lust, beauty, pleasure, passion, procreation, and as her synchronized Roman goddess counterpart, Venus, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. Aphrodite's major symbols include seashells, myrtles, roses, doves, sparrows, and swans. I would argue is completely appropriate to have sexuality be involved, as it is a core tenet to who Aphrodite is and represents. So in this case, the character, yes, is made to appear what I suppose these gentlemen feel is quite fetching via the male gaze. That's kind of who the character is, right? If there was a character in a video game and his name is Sexy Man, and Sexy Man, this will shock some of you, is supposed to be sexy. So when we see Sexy Man in the video game, he shows up, and what do you know? He's not wearing a lot of clothing, he's bulging, he's got a lot of greased up muscles, and you're just staring like, damn, Sexy Man is pretty damn sexy. I mean, checks out, because Sexy Man being who he is, the name, it's appropriate. Sexy Man, he looks sexy, enjoying Sexy Man. So I wouldn't see Sexy Man in a video game and think, well, this is kind of demeaning to men, because at the end of the day, the very idea that men should be nothing else but being this one type of sexy, and there's only one kind of sexy that's really appropriate, and when I see Sexy Man, I'm like, no, Sexy Man within the context of the game makes sense, because he is, after all, supposed to be a sexy man. So in that sense, all right, it makes sense that Sexy Man is portrayed that way. But if every single video game character that a man is in every single video game looked and dressed exactly like Sexy Man, then maybe something is a bit up, right? Wouldn't you be like, well, I'm not here to take away Sexy Man from any of you. I get it. Like, we all enjoy our sexy men. But I kind of wanted to play a game with other kinds of men, different kinds of characters, and who have thoughts and feelings and emotions, and actually are more than just their sexiness. And I'm not saying they can't be sexy, but maybe they can be sexy and then also like be a detective or a space marine or just something else or a Super Mario, whatever the thing might be. I'm not like, I just want to play a game, and I'm just a little bit distracted by the fact that every single guy in the game is looking and dressing and acting just like Sexy Man. I wish there was different kinds of men and maybe different kinds of sexy. There's not a one type fits all for sexiness, right? There's other kinds of sexy for sure. Can we enjoy that and enjoy that whole thing? And if you want to compare the praise of the game Hades and also the inclusion of a character like Aphrodite within the game and say like, well, okay, apparently this is fine, but Stellarblade is sexist. But this is okay. Hypocrites much? Huh?
For instance, mannish-looking women that are made intentionally ugly. You can't hide that. Guys have a radar for it, because most guys aren't attracted to men.
I mean, just most humans have a different... We're not stupid.
Yes.
I like to...
Yes. You've heard of the gaydar. Have you heard of the straighdar? It also exists. It's for straight dudes, where they're not down with uggos. So yeah, anyone who's lower than basically an 8, They can tell. Yeah, no, straight guys, yeah, we just got a straight dar, so we use that. We can always tell.
Think most of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the promotional image, but it's from Aphrodite, whatever, in the Hades
Whatever.
2 game.
Who cares? What's the
Rather
point of even looking
sexualized.
into it?
It is.
In actual fact, I'd say this is more sexualized than Stellarblade.
I would.
So, does that have anything to do with the character itself? Could that play into it, maybe? Would that be a purpose? Or is there a point to the sexualization, right? Again, if we go back to Sexy Man, the idea of a character who is called Sexy Man, who's supposed to be sexy and is in the video game as a sexy, sexualized man, that's totally fine. No one's saying that you can't have that. If every game character was Sexy Man, then you'd probably be like, I'm not here to take away, ladies, I'm not here to take away your sexy men, but I'm wondering if we could play a game that has a knight in it, who's wearing some armor. Because, again, if you were wearing no armor and you got stabbed, you'd probably die a lot faster. If you flip that, isn't it weird that like so many video game characters who are women in the games always have to be wearing thongs? And I'm not here to take that away from you either. It's just, why can't we analyze media? Why can't we be like, okay, but there's probably something behind this, right? You still get your sexy games. No one is canceling the release of Stellarblade. It's still going to come out. People are still going to play it, and it's probably going to still make a lot of money because of this whole outrage farm that's being made around it. But
I would agree.
You would agree?
I mean, at this point, we're comparing sex.
yes, and also when it comes to Hades and the storyline, the characters are all incredibly well written. There's a lot of depth to their characters. Even Aphrodite is more than simply a sexy, beautiful Greek goddess and the representation therein. There's a whole bunch of like betrayal and backstabbing and character motivation that goes on with each of these characters as you're playing a game that is just so brutally difficult, and you just die over and over again only to be resurrected and have to climb all the way to the very top again.
And sexy, like it's getting a bit blurry here.
Well,
now.
sexualized, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think this is sexy.
I mean, you see lots of curves.
Yeah, but like in terms of the head to body ratio, she's obviously too tall, and she has
Yeah, this is a bit. It has to be a bit. I imagine it's a bit. No one's sitting here taking the two of you seriously right now.
a bit of a masculine jaw, and just a couple of like things.
It's it's got to be a bit.
'Cause-
It's got to be.
The character design, right? Remember how I said you can pick up certain things? It's a bit more blatant when you see some of the other character designs for Hades 2, where you can really tell the Sweet Baby Inc.-esque consultancy happening. So here's another image, and
What's wrong with this? Are you going after men's body types too now? You know what? Good for you. Good for you. We need this. This is true feminism. We need equal opportunity body shaming right now.
there looks to be, front and center, an overweight, amputee, wheelchair-bound god character. Person of color. So hang on.
Like, if you don't find any of this sexy, any of it, okay, fine. Can you still enjoy the game? If you find this super hot, is that too distracting for you? Can you not play the game? Then in that case, do you not want anyone to be any kind of attractiveness in games at all? What are you even doing here? If they're too hot, would that prevent you from being able to, succeed? I don't understand at all what the problem is.
She is aware of the blatant hypocrisy then.
Yeah.
And then she's just trying to deflect and say, but this is okay because
Okay, let's read it. Hades' character's sexiness is woven into their personalities. Wow, whew, that's a thing? People can have sexy personalities too?
it's the right type of hot. Meaning
Literally says that.
you need approval from people like her to be allowed to find something attractive.
You're doing the exact same thing right now. That's what this segment is. You are doing the same thing as the Kotaku article, coming at it from a different angle. I might say the straight male gaze. That's how you're approaching this topic. And you want to see a one-size-fits-all sexiness, and that's what you want. You want there to be a Stellarblade style character, but that's it. You don't like other kinds of representations of sexiness, whether that be male sexiness, whether that be muscle mummies. The very idea of having strong, muscular women is gay. So that's bad. But if someone else is like, this is how I want to have my own kind of representation in video games and the kind of sexiness that I want to see, then they're wrong.
Or not. Without
Yeah,
their
one sexiness to rule them
approval, Okay, you're problematic.
Do you reckon she's also trying to cope in the sense that maybe not everyone will be attracted to this? Or might not be a thing?
But that's okay. In fact, you can be not attracted to any video game characters at all, and you'll be all right. All of you are going to be fine. And again, your cup's runneth over. There's a non-stop surplus of sexy video game characters in video games and all media, I might add. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh yes, one character in this one game is showing a different form of representation that you don't often see. That's suddenly like, oh, they had to wokeify it. Oh, you made it woke. Yeah, well, yeah, we're supposed to find this sexy, this type of body type.
Because for me, for example, I have played
They're also asexuals and aromantics who enjoy video games. No, they're not allowed. Not allowed to not play a video game and in some way be confused by what you see.
a bit of the first Hades games. I know people love the gameplay, but a lot of people were thirsting over the.
And like, you know, these two individuals, not exactly what most people would consider to be the, you know, stereotypical version of sexiness, but there are people out there who find people who look like them to be perfectly sexy. And that's also okay. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Like, there's not this idea where you have to have this rigid, only one type of body type can be sexy, and that's it.
Characters in the first one, I personally am not someone who thirsts over cartoon characters. I know I'm a minority in terms of.
Weird, because I've watched a lot of videos of the two of you complaining about characters not being sexy enough or being too sexy in the eyes of others, but you don't care about it. Gotcha.
The internet, okay, you all love to do that, but like I know there's people who love visual novels and watch and play that sort of stuff. I don't see as much of a interest for me. So for me, at least, coming to the sequel.
Cool. But what about the games themselves? Because you're only approaching this from the whole sex angle, right? They're also video games with stories and challenges and characters and controls and upgrades. There's a whole other side of this that doesn't involve every single episode of YouTube being like, yeah, well, Spider-Man 2, oh, they made Mary Jane super ugly, of course, because woke.
They kind of obviously go in the same direction they were in the first one, but they've made a very hard left turn, quite literally, in terms of the direction they're going.
Yeah, and this, when a company does this and just jumps on the bandwagon to support the whole DEI woke agenda, right? That says a lot of things right there. Basically, fundamentally, it means they hate most gamers. They hate most men for liking and being attracted to attractive women, okay? If you hold many conservative or traditional values, not even just conservative, just...
You just used Hades as your example of them being hypocrites, because there's a character that you are saying is not as hot as she could be, but still is what classically most people would deem to be a hot representation of a woman. And look at Hades, and everyone loved Hades. What's wrong with there? And now saying the exact opposite of that, being like, oh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're not willing to do this because they hate men. They're not willing to put sexy women in video games like they did in Hades, which, of course, we can't like anymore because they added other kinds of sexy video game characters that aren't the same type of sexy that we like.
Run-of-the-mill traditional thing, you're an evil, bad person. If you object to the over-sexualization of children's media, you're a terrible person, right? That they think that, right? And when they get on board with stuff like that, that's the message they're saying. Hence, zero tolerance. They do not deserve your money at all. And there's a lot of good games. Just ignore them. Move on to the next one. So let's have a look at some of the things in this article. Hades, Supergiant Games, award-winning blah, 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 was renowned for its excellent combat, beautiful art style, original music.
And we kind of just read the article. I don't need to see them go through the whole thing. You know what we could do? We could watch the trailer for Hades. Feast your eyes upon the woke sexiness of Hades 2. Oh god. So many sexy characters already. Distracting. Is that a wand or a giant dildo? It's hard to tell. Is that green semen? Is this coitus? Whoa! Magical explosions. What? Mercy isn't sexy. The fuck?
Good.
Training sequence?
Not good enough. We can but learn. And the greatest teacher is out there. Now go. Death to Kronos. Death to Kronos.
Death to Kronos. Is that a euphemism?
This is an opportunity for you.
Wait a second. This looks like a sexy depiction of the male form. What's going on here? Doom incarnate? Yeah, you said it.
For you. To make a better future for us all. Least I can do is light your way down.
Apollo? What?
About ready to give in? No.
Wait, is that a strong-looking woman? Stronger than the other characters? Oh god, that's like the strongest looking character. Nemesis, the muscle mummy.
About ready to give in? No. I was born for this.
You trifle with powers far beyond your comprehension.
I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, what is this? Is it just like a cum monster?
Powers far beyond your comprehension, witch.
Okay, if I call you witch like that.
The godlike.
Vengeance for your family awaits you.
He is no mere titan. He is time itself, and time cannot be stopped.
Wait for me, Father. I'll be there soon.
Am I the only one who watches this and at no point was I thinking about sex? And I'm like, I'm a really sexual person. I never watched that trailer. I'm like, oh god, oh my. Howdy everybody. I just wanted to let you know that for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can unlock bonus uncensored episodes of Mind Explosions by going to patreon.com/theserfs. Our videos couldn't exist without your support, and all our content is released early to our Patreon subscribers, as well as a ton of extra content you can't get anywhere else. Please like, subscribe, and thumbs up this channel, and if you're feeling extra perky, share it anywhere you think people would like to see or learn from our videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood, as well as every other person you see on the screen right now. This show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, you know, help us exist.